Thursday morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
Pyongyang breaks its 9-day-long silence and proposes the 7th round of talks to normalize operations at the Kaesong Industrial Complex on the 14th. Seoul accepts.
Brace yourselves for what will be the hottest day of the season, but energy officials are concerned about something else. Details just ahead. And concerning economic indicators involving jeonse prices, we'll tell you more on In Print. Patent war enters new phase. Where would it go from here for the two tech giants, Samsung and Apple? We have the latest details.
And to stay afloat in this cutthroat competition, restaurant owners are looking for fun and creative ways to spice it up. We visit some successful eateries. Then we're going down south to the country's largest port city, Busan. Get a breath of fresh ocean air and tour the bustling and dynamic streets on this Thursday, August 8th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure most of our Korean viewers know the answer to my question, but what is the national flower of Korea?
And that is the mugunghwa.
The Rose of Sharon, that's right. And why am I suddenly talking about the Rose of Sharon? Because today is Mugunghwa Day, or the Rose of Sharon Day, designated in 1991 to boast the beauty of this flower. And in fact, starting tomorrow, there will be a festival, a Mugunghwa Festival.
Now, that year, 1991, was when this festival actually began. Now, this year, 800 mugunghwa plants yielding about 10,000 mugunghwa bulbs will be on display at the Seoul Square, and that is a lot. They'll come in various different shapes, animals, and sizes, as well as one big display of the peninsula, the Korean peninsula, made of the mugunghwa flowers.
That should be quite a sight, and it'll run until August 15th, the Independence Day of Korea, so it's a meaningful event.
Yep, you have to be able to see this at least over the weekend and try to check that out and participate in the festivities there.
All right, we'll get the show on the road with today's headlines.
So it looks like the talks will be back on again. North Korea finally broke silence on Wednesday, responding to Seoul's offer to once again discuss how to normalize operations at the joint Kaesong Industrial Complex. The proposal came through the hotline at the truce village of Panmunjom 9 days after Seoul gave Pyongyang an ultimatum.
We propose having talks without preconditions at the complex on August 14th and hope to produce positive outcomes for everyone in time for Korea's Independence Day on August 15th.
Pyongyang also said it will lift the temporary ban on workers from the south entering the complex and promised safe passage to all South Koreans going in and out. Seoul was quick to respond.
We see this as North Korea being forward-minded on our proposal for talks to resolve the situation at the Kaesong Business Park.
The two sides are scheduled to meet on August 14th as of now, some 20 days after the last round of negotiations fell through last month, and also 4 months after Pyongyang abruptly halted operations at the jointly run factory zone when tensions were running higher on the Korean peninsula. And later this week in Geneva, a former U.S. State Department official may meet with North Korean officials, hinting at the possibility of Pyongyang and Washington resuming nuclear talks through unofficial channels. Citing anonymous sources, South Korea's Yonhap News reported Wednesday that the talks will be on a semi-governmental level. The U.S. government will not officially be involved in the meeting. Washington will be represented by Joel Witt, a former North Korea specialist at the U.S. State Department. Sources speculate Choi Sun-hee, deputy director at North Korea's foreign ministry, will be Pyongyang's man at the meeting. The two met in Singapore last year for a similar meeting, but experts are skeptical about whether this week's talks will serve as a breakthrough for both countries. As widely expected, the main opposition Democratic Party rejected the presidential office's offer for five-way talks on Wednesday. It went ahead and called for a one-on-one meeting between the president and DP chairman Kim Han-gil.
This proposal for five-way talks cannot be her solution to the current situation if the president had realized the gravity of the issue and given it some deep thought.
청와대 had proposed holding a five-way talk involving the president and respective chairmen and floor leaders of ruling and opposition parties to resolve political wrangling regarding the ongoing parliamentary probe into the country's spy agency. The opposition DP had accused the National Intelligence Service of meddling in last year's presidential election in favor of the ruling Saenuri party. Meanwhile, the two rival parties were able to come to an agreement on the final list of witnesses for the probe. 29 people, including former NIS Chief Won Se-hun and former Seoul Police Agency Chief Kim Yong-pan, are included on the list. Now that one of the longest monsoon seasons on record is officially over, the sun is coming out and so are the sizzling temperatures. Seoul will melt under the hottest day of the year so far on this Thursday, with the mercury expected to touch 35 degrees Celsius. But it's not the scorching hot weather that's worrying officials. The country's low electricity reserve is what's on their minds. With higher demands for air conditioning, the Korea Power Exchange says a level 1 or prepare warning could be issued on Thursday. Such warning is issued when the country's electricity reserves fall to between 4.5 and 5 million kilowatts. Energy officials say Korea's electricity reserves are expected to be at their lowest from Thursday to next week.
And good morning, everyone. The latest developments in the Inter-Korean Kaesong Business Park talks does make all of our front pages this morning. We'll turn to 동아일보 for a look at that story. The headline reads, "Once resolved to close Kaesong complex, a door opens." And the image title, meanwhile, reads, "Will the fog lift on Kaesong complex?" paired with a view of the complex from the Dora Observatory on the south side. As you can see, the fog is very much covering the view. Now, the subheadline in the newspaper notes that the invitation from the north came just 1 hour after the Seoul government announced it would begin the process to issue insurance payouts to the 109 business owners who applied for compensation, a step that would have firmed up the government's walking away from the joint complex project for good. Now, involved parties have agreed that the total amount of payout would be some $251 million, and tenant companies are able to begin receiving that money today, whereby they would effectively surrender their assets to the government. And because of how far the process has come along, the newspaper says the South Korean government has an upper hand going into the inter-Korean negotiations next Wednesday. All right, scooting over to 경향신문. As you can see, it also treats the same story as its top. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front page image news. And what looks like a floor rug is actually an emaciated polar bear. Now, the title reads, "Starvation drives polar bear to death, the tragedy of global warming." And the caption notes that the 16-year-old polar bear was discovered only with skin and bones last month. And based on his posture, polar bear expert Ian Sterling believes it did die of lack of food. Now, the subheadline in the story notes that half of the sea ice on the North Pole has melted away just in the past 33 years, causing experts to worry that more such polar bears will meet a similar fate as the sea ice that allows the bears to hunt for food disappears. Now, the International Union for Conservation of Nature projects that some half of the polar bear population will thin out within 45 years' time. Scooting on over to 조선일보 now. It also has the Kaesong complex story on its front page. We'll go ahead and take a look at the main headline. It reads, 280,000 children disappear beyond school walls. That is, of the 7.13 million school-age children, some 280,000 are unaccounted for by the government. That's about 4%. And the included graph breaks down those 7 million students in Korea
who would fall in the first grade through high school senior bracket. Among those not in traditional schools, but accounted for, 80,000 are in specialized schools, 30,000 are abroad, and 20,000 are said to be in detention facilities. Now, the remaining 280,000 in question, the article says, could be homeschooled, but it's highly likely that most are working part-time jobs or are in voluntary confinement at home. And it adds that the problem is not only seen in low-income households, but middle-class households as well. In fact, on that note, we'll take a look at the image here. It shows one father whose 19-year-old son came home one day, locked his bedroom door, and announced that he would no longer be going to school. He thought it was just a phase, but that was 7 years ago, and he still is not going to school. All right, we'll go ahead and scoot on over to our business newspaper for today. Major business newspaper's headline reads, surprise economic indicator, 전세 prices to hop another 10%. Now, 전세, of course, is the deposit-based housing rental system unique to Korea, in which the tenant pays a large lump sum deposit in exchange for a typical 2-year lease. Now, it's a rental system high in demand, but disappearing in supply, as low interest rates have driven owners to turn to monthly rent or a half 전세 arrangement. Now, this surprise economic indicator noted in the headline refers to another 10% projected jump in 전세 prices expected to materialize by spring. This after 전세 prices did soar more than 10% at the end of 2011 when the 전세 supply index surpassed the 190 mark, a trend that was found in early 2011 as well. Meanwhile, the included graph shows the projected impact of that 10% price hike. The Bank of Korea says it would trigger a cut in private spending by 3.1%, whereas the gross domestic product would see a dip of some 1.64%, leading experts to characterize the troubled real estate market as the biggest risk to economic recovery in the second half of this year.
Eunice, isn't today an important day for someone we know and love? We love Eunice, right?
I thought it was 무궁화 Day.
All right, it's also happy birthday, Eunice.
Oh
Hey,
my,
happy
this is
birthday.
a real surprise. Thank you. Yes,
So,
dressed in mugunghwa color as well.
And
Already
you
25
thought we
years old
didn't
now?
know.
And with that, we will wrap this edition of In Print. Next up are your closing numbers from Wednesday's market action. Now, over the past weekend, U.S. President Barack Obama vetoed the U.S. International Trade Commission's import ban on some of Apple products, disappointing its rival Samsung Electronics. And now Samsung awaits an ITC ruling on an import ban on some of their older products. The ruling will take place this Friday. And for more on this, we are joined by Arirang Song-jisun. So, Jisun, good morning.
Morning, and it was a huge downturn for Korea-based Samsung Electronics because the June ruling of the ITC started that last year was in favor of Samsung Electronics right at home turf of California-based Apple. And now Samsung faces a different situation now because they're facing a different ruling that will decide on the sales ban in the U.S. of their products. So let's delve into details right now.
U.S. President Barack Obama's decision to reverse the International Trade Commission's ban on imports of some Apple products has sparked controversy in the tech and international trade arena. Citing concerns about patent holders gaining undue leverage over competitors, the U.S. Trade Representative explained that the Trade Office had taken the interests of consumers and competitive conditions in the U.S. into account when making the decision. Trade experts, however, warned that the highly unusual move, which marked the first time a president has overruled the ITC since 1987, risks drawing complaints of protectionism and would make it harder for the U.S. to argue for stronger global protection of intellectual property rights, especially given that Obama has been aggressively calling for such need.
We're going to aggressively protect our intellectual property. Our single greatest asset is the innovation and the ingenuity and creativity of the American people.
South Korea's Trade Ministry has expressed concern about the negative impact that this kind of decision could have on the protection of patent rights, adding that the ITC ruling and further decisions by the U.S. administration should be made on fair and reasonable grounds. Samsung vowed to seek further legal action, calling the veto a disappointment. Before the White House overturned the ITC decision, the Korean company has submitted an appeal to the June ruling, claiming that Apple not only infringed on one essential patent, but 3 other commercial ones as well. All eyes are now on a Friday decision from the ITC for a separate patent case, when the Commission is expected to decide on whether to ban imports of Samsung smartphones and tablets into the U.S. In a preliminary ruling in October last year, the ITC said Samsung infringed 4 Apple patents, including one design patent for the rounded corners of the device. If Samsung imports are banned in the U.S., Obama will be faced with the question of whether to veto the ruling or let it stand.
The Obama administration must be contemplating to be consistent in its decisions and may wish for both parties, Samsung and Apple, to resolve the situation in their hands.
So no doubt that this case is drawing a lot of attention. So what were some of the Apple products that had been banned from import and vice versa? What are some of the Samsung products that would be affected by the ITC's ruling this Friday?
Well, it's not the latest model that we expect, and actually these products in both the Apple and Samsung are relatively older models. Let's take a look at the models. And for the Apple, the devices affected by the ITC import ban were the iPhone 4, iPhone 3GS, iPad, and the iPad 2 third generation. Now, the Samsung devices that will be affected by this Friday's ITC ruling are the Galaxy S, the Galaxy S2, its Nexus line of smartphones, and the Galaxy Tab. Now, these latest models of these products were launched quite a few years ago, so it's unlikely that this import ban on these products will significantly affect the sales figure or the market share of both Samsung or Apple.
Now, a lot of experts are saying that this case may fundamentally change and reshape how the patent system works in this industry. So where will it go from here on?
You know, well, the patent loss began in 2011. Now these two companies are in the 3rd year of the patent war all over the world. And now the market analysts say that at the end of the day, they may, settle on these lawsuits in or out of court under negotiations. But how they will do that is still an open question. And some predict they will swap royalties on one another's technology based on what they assume their most essential patents are. Now experts say Apple has an edge in design patents, whereas Samsung leads mobile telecommunications technologies. And the key here will be whether they license their products under terms that are fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory, also known as the friend principle. This principle was introduced to prevent patent owners from abusing their power and to let fellow industry manufacturers use patent for things that are considered standard and essential in a given industry.
All right, thank you. We'll have to wait and see how the ruling will come about this Friday in the U.S. Thank you very much, Jisun, for your report today. We appreciate it. And still ahead on Korea Today, it's not just about food anymore. Restaurants in Korea are competing to add fun ideas and themes to their businesses as they butt heads with rivals. What are some of the creative and new concepts that have caught on with consumers? We get a taste of it.
So today is expected to be the hottest day of the season in Seoul. And I'm just thinking, where can I take a day trip out of Seoul somewhere cooler? Is there a place for me?
Maybe down south in the South Pole, maybe. But, I was just thinking, can it get any hotter than this? And the answer is yes. Lee Dami has more on that for us, reporting from the COEX here in Seoul. Dami, good morning.
Good morning, Dami.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from COEX located in Samsung-dong, Seoul. Now this morning here in Seoul, conditions or temperatures are at about 26 degrees Celsius. We are starting the day off with partly cloudy skies. However, the air itself doesn't feel as humid this morning, for there is a light breeze that is blowing here and there. It does feel a lot better than the afternoons. Later, as the day progresses, it looks like the heat is going to get unbearable as there is a high pressure front coming in from the North Pacific, which is currently steadily overtaking the peninsula, and it looks like the heat is going to get very unbearable. Like Hyungang mentioned, it's going to be a very hot day. All I can say is that most of the nation is undergoing heat wave alerts. Try to intake as much water as possible. Keep yourselves hydrated and try not to stay outdoors for too long. As a matter of fact, staying indoors or sticking with indoor activities might be a smart choice for today. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the temperatures across the nation. Now here in Seoul, also in Daejeon, highs will both soar to 35. Daegu will be baking at 37. Gangneung and Gwangju will both rise to 36, as Jeju Island will reach up to 35 degrees. Now tomorrow, it looks like sporadic showers are in the forecast in the morning, so make sure to carry your umbrellas as well. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
Dan Matthews, an up-and-coming YouTube musician with a growing fan base. Not many people know that he has a birth name, Park In-soo. A letter one day has turned his life upside down.
Dear Dan Matthews, I'm writing to share the information of your birth family. As you may be aware, your birth parents were married and still are married. They have one son and they have a daughter. You may also find that your brother Ji-seong is actually your twin brother.
And this has led him to embark on a journey back to Korea to meet them in person for the first time in 28 years. It was a long time coming. Dan Matthews joins me now to share with us his special story. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Now let's get right to it. You've met with your biological parents and your siblings, some of whom you didn't even know existed just recently. What went through your mind as you went into that room to sit down with them?
It was a really surreal moment. It was something that I kind of played through my mind over and over again before I actually got into it. And then you walk in there and you don't expect anything. It was shocking. I think the best word to describe it is very shocking, especially the siblings. The brother I didn't know existed he's my twin brother. And so that was mind-blowing because it's like looking at yourself for the first time. And then I just couldn't stop looking at him, and it was very emotional.
Was it a happy reunion? Was there a lot of tears? What was it like?
There were a lot of tears. My mother just grabbed me and just wouldn't stop crying for 15 minutes. Oh. And the other family members just kind of sat down. It was a little uncomfortable, but generally a very happy reunion though. I think it went a lot better than what I expected. Because it obviously could have been a lot more emotional, a lot more difficult for me to be in the room, but it was generally a good reunion.
Were you able to get some of the answers you were looking for?
No, not at all. At least at this point, I feel like that I was just in tune shock to be able to ask anything at all. I mainly it was very small talk, and for the most part, I just kind of sat there just looking at people. I couldn't believe that I was actually in that situation.
So you didn't ask them the questions that were probably burning in your mind all these years?
Well, to be honest, I think that now that it's up until this moment, I actually haven't had. I had one question. So there's one question that I actually did have that I got to ask. I had dinner with my birth mom and my brother yesterday, and the question was about health issues and to see if I had if there's anything like disease-wise that I had to worry about.
Sure.
Apparently, I have a pretty healthy family.
Good.
Happy about that. Bad eyesight, bad teeth, but beyond that, pretty good. But to be honest, when I was in that situation, I think all of my concentration was just going into what it was going to be like when I actually first met them, not what I was going to ask them. So I think I need to think for a very long time and just write down a lot of questions.
I'm happy that it was a happy reunion there. But you came to Korea to take part in this conference held by the International Korean Adoptee Association and held a special performance there. I would imagine this performance was more special to you than maybe some of the other performances you've had in the past.
Absolutely. I got a call to be able to perform at their closing night concert. And one, just to be able to come to Korea and be able to perform in Korea is a meaningful event in itself. But to be able to be there with other adoptees, people that share similar backgrounds, especially other people that might have a similar story. And a lot of my songs are stories about identity and things that I feel like these adoptees might be able to relate to. And I feel like it's an incredibly meaningful experience.
And you're taking part in a documentary. Arirang TV is, in fact,
yes,
in this documentary, working with you. Why did you take part in this filming of this documentary? And also, what is the message that you want to deliver to your viewers and perhaps to other adoptees out there?
Absolutely. At first, it started as a very small story. A story of me coming back to Korea and capturing other adoptees' stories. And it was going to be a very small project. And then I got lucky. I got very blessed that some other people were able to come together, Eugene, Jason, Andy, Ray, and John, and they came out with me and they decided to turn this into a much bigger production. And I just couldn't believe that they wanted to do this and to turn this into a much bigger story. And what it became, especially as we started developing the story, it became not only the story of me coming back to Korea, it became a story of me reuniting with my biological family, me discovering what my identity is, and ultimately me being able to, I think, see where my direction in life is going. And I feel like the message that we'd love to convey is this message of hope, of identity. I think identity is such a huge thing for the adoptee community, and I can't believe, I'm in disbelief at the support that I've received so far from people that have seen the video that I've never met before and that have been able to come out and support me on this project. We're doing a Kickstarter campaign, AKA Dan, and through that, just unbelievable messages. I'm in disbelief.
Is it your first time to come back to Korea?
It's my second time coming back to Korea. I came back when I was 20, so about 8 years ago. But at that time, I was younger. I didn't really want to do too much personal searching, mainly out here to have a good time and kind of just see Korea. So that's why I feel like this time I'm emotionally ready. I'm older, more prepared.
All right. It was a soul-searching journey for you, I see. And let's talk about your future now, your future plans as a musician and also as an adoptee who's embarked on a very, very meaningful journey.
Absolutely. I think the future plans are, one, we definitely want to be able to complete this documentary and web series by hopefully the end of 2013. And so that's a big goal. And that once we put that out, there's also going to be a companion album that I'm really excited about of music that's inspired by this journey. And then from that, I just ultimately, I've got no idea. Everything's been so fresh and so new to me that I think that there's going to be some unbelievable things that happen after this experience is done. And not just for myself, but I think that for the family members that I met, this is a completely new journey for them as well as for me that we're now embarking on. And that's going to take me a long time to process how it's not just me meeting them and then I just leave and then everything's done, never going to see them again. I can't just not see them again. It's something that I have to be thinking about constantly now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Matthews, for sharing your very special story with us this morning.
Thank you so much. No, it's been an honor to be here. Thank you. If anybody wants to find out any more information on the project, they can find it at Kickstarter.com. Search for AKA Dan. And then if they want to see this happening live, they can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Dan, AKA Dan. And no, it's just been an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
I'll check it out myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And still ahead on Korea Today, Busan is the biggest port city and second largest city of Korea, full of natural beauty and dynamic attractions, not to mention the home of one of Asia's most significant film festivals. We take you around the bustling streets and markets of this port city. For many new entrepreneurs, the restaurant industry is rather appealing because of the profit margin that can be had. And if you have the right recipe, along with the combination of location, price, and service, then you can expect your business to really take off.
That's right. It is a very competitive market with new restaurants popping up left and right in this already saturated market. And sources say that only 6 out of 1,000 make it big, making the success ratio less than 1%. events.
That's why we see a lot of restaurants that come out these days. We see them with unique concepts that you would never have even thought of, along with the great food and service. We'll take a look.
The restaurant industry is getting more competitive by the day. Especially with the prolonged sluggish economy, there's a growing divide between booming and sluggish businesses. Tasty food is a given. In order to cater to the customers and succeed, there needs to be something more. So what's the secret recipe for making a restaurant a success?
Customers are not only looking for great tasting food, but a crowded restaurant can encourage more people to stop by. But something that's even more important than a jam-packed restaurant is its relationship with each customer. And this can't be established simply with good food.
Restaurants now need their own character. There are one-person restaurants that target singles who want to dine without getting extra attention from others. There are also small, exclusive places where only 3 or less customers are allowed, and camp-themed eateries. All of these unique places are thriving. And this is Gyeongli-dan Road in Itaewon, Seoul. For the past few years, many food lovers have made their way out here as small but one-of-a-kind restaurants started popping up in this side of town. And out of these restaurants, this one with no sign is somehow attracting a lot of people. So what do customers think about a place without a signboard?
I think the place has its merits, since it creates curiosity to prospective customers.
Initially, I thought this place was a public bathhouse, but when I went in, it was a restaurant. I was very much intrigued and tried their food, and it was really good, and so was the atmosphere.
Restaurant owner Kim Gun-hee went with the fresh concept of a restaurant without a sign. But why?
I always thought customers who will come by regardless of whether there's a sign up or not. So I decided to not put one up from the very beginning. But I guess that's interesting for customers.
The interesting thing about this Japanese home meal restaurant is that the menu is different every day depending on what kind of daily food ingredients it has. All customers sit around one big table that can seat about 10 people, so the place is usually packed. People passing by this unusual restaurant all have curious looks on their faces, and such interest is one of the major reasons behind the diner's success. It's late into the night here in the streets of Hongdae. It's no surprise to see the side of town bustling with people enjoying great food even at this late hour. This is mainly because the once late-hour businesses of jjimjilbang or Korean sauna facilities and movies have branched out to the food and beverage industry as well. A restaurant in Hongdae has recently become popular among young people thanks to its unique concept. It's this late-night eatery that opens its doors to the customers at 5 p.m. and closes at 3 a.m. What started out as a popular food truck serving pasta and soju is now a restaurant, and the beloved pasta and beverage menu was created by the owner. But the main reason behind this restaurant's popularity is because it stays open late for late-night customers to swing by.
I started this late-night restaurant to differentiate my place with other places. There are not a lot of Western-style restaurants that open until late, but we serve pasta even at late hours.
There are 2 of these late-night restaurants, one in front of Hongdae and the other in front of Konkuk University. By operating at times different from other Western-style restaurants, it has helped boost their sales. Not only that, the unique menu that pairs pasta and soju also helps.
It's my first time having pasta and soju together. It's pretty awesome.
I like how my friends and I can come here and enjoy the warm, homey atmosphere even at a late hour. Plus, it's difficult to come across pasta this late.
Nowadays, restaurants need more competitive and innovative concepts. As economic hardships continue for many, these ingenious and head-turning eateries are tapping into the wallets of customers who are looking for something new.
The philosophy behind my business is bringing back firstcomers. My dream is to greet them like family and continue to expand my business.
I want my restaurant to become more than just a regular diner. I want my customers to automatically think of this place when they're hungry and stop by here randomly. Once it becomes like that, I think I've succeeded in my business.
All right, let's now go back to our Dami who's standing by at a Good Sleep Expo. Never mind that most of our viewers are just waking up from their sleep, right?
Get back to sleep. That's what Tommy's saying. But you know, good sleep is essential to a healthy lifestyle. So find out more about this fair. Tommy, over to you.
That's right, Young and Minjung. I'm back reporting live from COEX, where the Seoul International Good Sleep 2013 is taking place. Now, with the tropical nights these days, I thought it might come in handy to come to the fair and learn some ways to have a good, deep sleep and introduce myself to some new products. So that is the purpose of the fair itself. It is starting today, later at 10 a.m., and it will go on until the 11th, which is this Sunday, so for a total of 4 days. It is the third time they are holding this fair, and here at Good Sleep 2013, you can find a lot of different products that are sleep-related from medical industries and other related industries as well. Now, right now, what I'm going to introduce to you is a certain type of pillow. It was certified by the Korean Physical Therapy Association, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of lay down. Now, it looks like a normal pillow, but all right, I can feel certain pressure points right here that are very soothing and relaxing. It's very comfortable. It's kind of like my head is fitting into a piece of puzzle. Okay, so before I fall asleep, I want to go ahead and show you some more. Now, here at the fair, there are also other aroma products that, you know, because these days it is quite popular to release some fatigue through the aroma products. And right now, what we're looking at right here is a special bed. Now, it looks like a normal bed, but what makes it unique and different from others is that if I lay down right here, there's music coming out of the bed and a certain vibration that kind of comes with the music. And it's very soothing, and it's supposed to be a product that, of course, helps you go to sleep and go to bed. Okay, well, today I did look at some products, but all in all, for admissions, if you're a student in middle school or high school with an ID, also if you're older than 65 years old, you can come in for free. There are other discounts that you can find. You can always get more information on their website. This is your look at the Seoul International Good Sleep 2013. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off in international football. Now, South Korea's Park Ji-sung recently finished his move to PSV Eindhoven, where he actually began his European career, and his salary with the team was revealed. Now, the 32-year-old midfielder agreed to receive £1.15 million, or a little less than $1.8 million for the upcoming season with PSV. However, with the team's salary cap at £860,000 per player, QPR actually agreed to pay £300,000 so that the Dutch club can meet Park's salary. While the PSV initially hoped for a full transfer, the team could not meet the amount that the South Korean was making with the Queen's Park Rangers. And now staying with football, but back here in the nation, the 2013 K-League FA Cup's quarterfinals took place on Wednesday with Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors absolutely crushing Suwon Samsung Bluewings 7-2 as they advanced to the semifinals. Now also Jeju United shut out Incheon United 2-0 with Busan I-Park beating FC Seoul 2-1. That was the first time in 9 years that Busan beat FC Seoul at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. And lastly, the Pohang Steelers beat Gyeongnam FC 2-1, and those were your finals. final scores. And now with that said, moving on to basketball, the final game of the round of 12 in the 2013 Asian Basketball Championships took place last night for Team Korea, and it was another easy win. Now South Korea taking on India, and this time Team Korea does it with the three-pointers as they score 11 three-pointers on the night, shooting 48%. Now this including 4 from Kim Min-guk and 3 from Cho Sung-min. Now Korea takes this game 95-54 as they advance to the quarterfinals with the record of 4-1. And now coming up next for South Korea will be Qatar. And now moving on to some Wednesday night KBO action as the SK Wyverns took on the Hanwha Eagles. So with that said, let's take a look at the highlights. Of course, taking a look at the game here, the starting pitchers in this game, Baek In-sik for SK Wyverns and Dana Evelyn for the Hanwha Eagles. Both pitchers doing well until the 5th inning of the game. SK's Lee-jae Won deep to center field. 2-run shot as SK takes a 2-0 lead. Now still in the 5th inning here, Park Jin-man this time 2-run double to right. 4-0 SK Wyverns. And what do you know, we're not done just yet. Let's make this one 5-0 with a sac fly here from Cho Dong-hwa. Before in this next play here, Dana Evelyn still on the mound. Wild pitch scores the 6th run of the inning as SK takes a comfortable lead. We're going to shift over to the 6th inning of the game here. Kim Sang-hyun deep to center field. Back. SK now takes the lead 7-0. Now Hanwha does get on the scoreboard thanks to Lee Young-gi's RBI single, but SK still takes this game 7-1. And now next up, the Lotte Giants taking on the Kia Tigers in this game. First inning, a wild pitch scores the 1st run of the game as Lotte takes a 1-0 lead. Next play, Chun Jun-woo, 2-run single up the middle, 3-0 Lotte Giants. But now check out this next play here. Kang Min-ho at bat, pop up in foul territory. The catcher goes back and makes the play. Chun Jun-woo tags up, goes to 3rd, and what do you know? An error by the shortstop has him running home, and he scores 4-0 Lotte Giants. Now 5th inning, Kia does get on board thanks to Lee Young-gyu RBI single to left as Lotte now takes a 4-1 lead. And now Lotte continues to swing away in this game, scoring 3 runs in the 7th inning as Lotte takes this game 7-1, your final score. And now other scores from the league, the Tucson Bears sweep the Nexen Heroes 11-7, and the LG Twins also take a sweep here against the NC Dinos 14-5. And now with that said, staying in baseball, but over in the major, South Korea's Lee Hyun-jin will be now going after his 11th win of the season tomorrow. The 10-3 Lee Hyun-jin, who won his last 3 starts, will be going up against the St. Louis Cardinals, who are actually in 2nd place in the NL Central. And now going up against the Southpaw will be Jake Westbrook, who's currently 7-6 with an ERA of 3.48. While the Cardinals are a great hitting team, they are weak against lefty pitchers as the 25-year-old hopes to earn his team-leading 11th win of the season. And now that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. See you guys again for your sports needs.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, along with the Korea Tourism Organization, they conducted a survey of the top summer vacation spots, and Haeundae Beach in Busan took the top spot in domestic destinations.
The beaches in Busan were bustling with some 2.2 million out-of-towners just last Sunday alone. And joining us this morning is one of those 2.2 million. Jesse Day, good morning. 1 in 2.2 million.
Yes.
1 in a million. You're more than
1
that.
in a million. It seems you guys can't get rid of me. I'm back here on Korea Today to talk about Busan. And I think the reason a lot of people are drawn to Busan is not just the hustle and bustle and all the fun activities of the city, but there's hints of nature all over, as well as all sorts of amazing things to see, exciting things to do, and delicious things to taste. So without further ado, let's take a tour of Busan.
In the hottest time of the year, we are headed to none other than the famous port city, Busan. where everything from the hyped and youthful Haeundae, lively Jagalchi Market, and worldly recognized International Film Festival takes place. Here we go, the perfect place to be during summer.
Hello and welcome. Here we are at Busan Station in the dynamic city of Busan. Summer is here and that means summer vacation. People are coming from all over to experience the city.
Well, in Busan, where there's so much to see and do, the city tour bus is one of the most efficient and easiest ways to get around and check out the area's popular sites. That's why a lot of visitors hop on these buses. The Loop Course City Tour Bus offers routes from Haeundae or Daejongdae, and there are history, culture, or night view themes as well. You can check out their website for more details. Since this bus takes you around Busan streets, you not only can enjoy the cool sea breeze, but also feel like you've explored the whole city.
Here we are in the top of the double-decker city bus. A cool breeze blowing, the smell of the ocean is coming through, and it is a beautiful experience and a great way to see the city of Busan.
I was lucky enough to become friends with another visitor, and we shared a moment to get a picture together.
혹시 부산 가본 적 있어요?
아니요, 처음 왔어요.
처음 왔어요. 부산 어때요?
너무 멋있어요.
멋있어요? 아름다워요?
네.
We arrived at Busan's classic traditional market, the Jagalchi Market. As it's housed right by the city's open ocean, it's a must-visit place for tourists to experience the area's history, energy, and the lives of the people who live and work there.
It's a little strange feeling, actually. But this fish seems to be pretty calm. He's not moving. He's just kind of lying there. So I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. And welcome to Korea Today on Arirang TV. Aren't you happy to be on?
Here, visitors can try out all kinds of mouth-watering fresh, raw fish, and the sound of the sellers bargaining is the most interesting and fun. This kind shop owner gave me a bite of some delicious abalone.
Wow, I feel stronger already.
After recharging with some abalone, I headed to the Busan International Film Festival Street. The Nampodong Theater District was formed back in 1930, and in 1996 this region was reborn to become the home of the internationally recognized Busan International Film Festival. So every October, thousands of celebrities worldwide, people in the film industry and movie fans crowd in to see one of Asia's best film festivals. While walking on the BIFF street, you can't miss this spot, where many famous actors and actresses have left their handprints.
So Busan, of course, is the location of the annual Busan International Film Festival. And right now we are on the movie street. The handprints and signatures of the stars are all over. And one of my favorite lines, which is Busan dialect from one of the movies, 살아있네, 살아있어. So there's some knowledge about both movies and Busan for you.
Recently, the BIFF moved on over from the Nampodong Cinema District to Haeundae, becoming even more popular. And even when the festival is not running, the Busan Cinema Center stays open for movie lovers to check out the site. Also, there's a special theater for K-pop fans to enjoy concerts in 3D. Busy touring around the city, it's already lunchtime and something nearby sure smells good. All kinds of delicious street foods are popular in Busan, ranging from spicy noodles to red bean porridge. And the Nampodong street is absolutely full of these delicious treats.
I don't know what this is, but there seems to be a huge line for this particular food, and it must be the best thing here if this many people are waiting for it, so I'm gonna give it a try too.
This Korean seed-stuffed pancake is chewy on the outside, but is filled with nuts.
Okay, so this is the famous hodok from here in Busan, so it feels a little hot, but I'll give it a try. That's really good. It's kind of sweet and salty at the same time. I highly recommend this if you ever come to Busan.
We've enjoyed the lively part of Busan, so now it's time to seek some peace and calm here at the Dragon Palace, like Yonggong Temple, which you can get to by going down 108 stairs. As if protecting the temple, there are statues of 12 animal guardian deities, as well as Dharma, known to grant sons to those who wish upon it. Our next stop after the Haedong Yonggong Temple is the Busan port. With the sky-high mast and pirate wax figures, this sure looks like a ship from Pirates of the Caribbean. When sailing away on board this well-decorated pirate ferry, you'll feel like you're in a movie. The ferry that set off from the Busan port sails along the coastline and circles around Oryok Island and Haeundae. Night settled even in this ever so energetic city, but I'm sure I will never forget this beautifully lit up night view of Busan.
Night has fallen here in Busan, and as you can see behind me, the Gwangan Bridge lighting up the night sky. When you have time, friends, I recommend dynamic Busan to you. Come enjoy the beaches, the sights, the sounds, the tastes, and the boat rides. Dynamic Busan.
So you really did enjoy the hodog, or however you said it.
My pronunciation was a little bit off,
It's
apparently.
hodog
Yeah,
with the
I
accent
have
at
a
the
problem
end.
with the double,
No, it
characters.
was cute the way you butchered it.
Happy to be a
was
source
it?
of constant amusement here on Korea Today Live.
So what did you really enjoy the most of this trip?
Well, I feel like the environment in Busan itself is a lot different than here in Seoul. It's a lot more laid back. If you've never been there, it's hard to really define, but if you've been there, you just know the feeling. And myself, I love to eat, so all the tasty street food. I mean, the bokum sundae was so tasty. Dokboki and all the different street foods were absolutely delicious.
There he goes again, the duck bowl.
Yeah, did I say that wrong too?
Loving it.
No, it's okay. What I like about Busan is, of course, the night view. And what do I have to do to hop on that ferry that you were just on?
Well, the ferry I was on, as you could see, was basically like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like one of those pirate ships. And there's that, and there's a lot of other different ships and ferry rides you can take, and you can go online, make a reservation, or give a phone call as well. And more people are becoming attracted to these. It's so beautiful at night being able to see the Haeundae Bridge just lighting everything up.
Now, you've been to Busan a few times, and I gather you have some, personal know-hows, right? Do you have any tips for visitors of Busan?
Tips for visitors? Well, for places to stay, it depends if you want to stay short-term or long-term. For long-term, I recommend Korea Stay. It's an organization that connects foreigners with homestay families, a kind of a cultural exchange. And for those people who are going to be taking maybe a shorter trip, there's a lot of different hotels, business-level hotels, that are being approved by the Korean Tourism Organization.
Oh,
So
that looks nice.
that's a good start. Yeah, they do look nice.
All right, well, it looks like a great place to visit. Once again, you can visit Busan and also find out information at the Korea Tourism website as well, right?
That's right. The Korea Tourism Organization website has information in English, Chinese, and Japanese, so you can book hotels, make reservations, the city bus tour, or the ferry rides as well. You can find out all about that.
Okay, and you're going to take us to another location next week, right?
I am. It's going to be exciting.
All right, until then, you can practice your hodog.
Yeah, right, pronunciation.
And the duck pokey.
All right.
We're just
Thank
picking
you,
on you.
Thank you, Jesse, for that.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Korea Today. Seoul, we're expecting the hottest day of the season in Seoul, so maybe a trip down to Busan might be an idea, although it will probably be as bad as Seoul.
All right, it's going to be a scorcher out there. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you back here on Friday. Tomorrow's already Friday.
Right.
At 7 a.m. Have a good day.